So that's me moving Call of Duty into the thing because we haven't played it in a while. A lot of them lot have been playing Helldivers as well. So I assume we'll go back to it at some point, but we'll see how that whole thing goes right now. But as things stand, we'll move on from there. Thank you for everyone who's been patient for me to like unbox the game. I really do. I really do hope you enjoyed it. As unhinged as it was, I may do like a shorter version of the entire thing just so that I've done it. But the reason why I was bringing it up was because I had Sonic Adventure 2 Birthday Edition, and I was given that when it was like completely sealed and brand new. But it's ruined now, and I need a new version of that, and I really do hope that I can somehow get it. So we'll see how things work out. I'm not treated to the right one. So with that being said, let us begin. We're watching the Xbox Partner Preview for March 2024. You're welcome to join in. The video is in the chat, but I'm presuming everyone here has already watched it. I have not, so I will try to keep my opinions to myself about it. But if there's anything that do catches your eye, just say this is what you're excited for. Let me know, so that way I know what to do. I know what to. I can listen to you guys and hear you guys about it. With that being said, we're gonna start this in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, Xbox, what you got? What you got for me today? I need to get more cordial, man. I need more water. Wind blowing.
Won't you at least tell me what we're doing here? All I know is that it's serious.
The accent's pretty thick.
It is dangerous.
I like the look of it. I did see the trailer for this, but I didn't know it was coming from. It came from this. It kind of looks. It reminds me of Assassin's Creed, but it's not. Oh, is this like Bandai's answer to Assassin's Creed? It looks kind of it.
The greatest harm often comes from the best intentions.
The cycle is starting again. How many more times must we endure the vanity of the nine?
The 9.
When there isn't a path to be found,
Make one.
It's kind of like Avatar. Yeah, it definitely feels like colonialism. Or Dishonored? Yeah, actually Dishonored might be a better fit for this. This might be the answer not to Assassin's... Well, yeah, this might be like their answer to Assassin's Creed, but it seems more like an answer to Dishonored more than anything else. Unknown 9. Awakening. I guess there's 9 powers, and...
Countless times, and so shall you be here again. In fact, you're here right now.
It looks decent enough.
Learn how to wield otherworldly skills in the world of Unknown 9 with an in-depth developer update on Xbox Wire.
What's with the narrator? I'm not sure if I like the narrator for this. Although, give me this, the looks good.
They wish they never worked for. Not everyone's ex-employer set them up to take a fall. Just so
Ooh,
happens they frame the
noir.
rich. They call me Lady Luck, and every card I draw is lucky. And when I find out what my old coven is up to,
Coven.
I hope they have a good hand. Not tonight, boys. If
It
anyone
looks
wants to
cool.
play, they'll have to play dirty.
It looks really stylish. Sleight of hand. I hope it's as good as it looks, like as it's been presented. It's really fancy. This War of Mine and Frostpunk. Not seen either of these. Does anyone know anything about This War of Mine or Frostpunk? I'm not familiar with those games specifically. 11-Bit Studios presents
You could change the decisions you regret in your life. And see
Time
the
travel?
outcomes of those choices with your very own eyes.
I've got a very Death Stranding vibe to it. What's this? Alters? Oh, okay.
A simple miner who survived a crash landing on a hostile planet. He quickly realizes that what was supposed to be a lifetime job opportunity turns into a desperate fight for his life. Jan will need to handle a large mobile base that's designed to be operated by an entire team of qualified personnel. Even worse, the planet Jan landed on revolves around a deadly, scorching star. Escaping the sunrise is crucial for survival.
It reminds me of Chronicles of Riddick.
Jan simply lacks the time and skill to deal with all these problems on his own. But the planet Jan is stranded on is home to a mysterious substance called rubidium. With its use and the help of the quantum computer on board, Jan is able to create alternative versions of himself. The Alters.
Don't even trust anyone, except not even yourself.
Decision from Jan's past. The Alters are a reflection of the questions he asks himself. What if I never left my hometown? What if I didn't drop out of college? What if I fought harder to save my marriage? Our Alters have necessary knowledge and skills that we desperately need to succeed. But they also come with their own goals, ambitions, and fears, all derived from their different life paths. And that can generate problems.
Stop pretending you have any idea how I feel.
Incompetence. Incoherent decision-making. A groundbreaking mission on the verge of failure.
Damn. I just hope I don't f everything up again.
You want a relationship that lasts. Put some effort in it.
Each Jan is a different person. It will be extremely difficult to keep everyone happy.
You gotta learn how to say no sometimes.
But we must do whatever we can, because as the mission goes on, the challenges will only pile up.
What's the goal, though?
Obstacles on the outside. Internal tensions that could prove to be even more dangerous. And with a ticking clock of the deathly sun behind our backs, the only way home is to press forward.
I guess it's just to get home. But I wonder if there's any other story to it. All by myself. That's a really good tagline. That's a really good tagline. It's interesting to say the least, because I think the story elements would be the biggest hit on that, and I want to see how that works, but I'm wondering if there's only one way to end it, like you'll only get a certain amount of use. Rihanna Pratchett? I wonder who Rihanna Pratchett is. It reminds me of Majora's Mask, where you have and Kenna. That's the other one. It reminds me of Kenna as well, where you have where you use the flute to have a parade of animals. The animals look really cute. Yes, you can pet the mythical gator. Creatures of Ava? I think is what it says.
Learn how Creatures of Ava places you in the role of the savior.
This narrator is not a good choice. At least not the actor himself, but probably the line scripting was not my ideal. I think someone with a bit more enthusiasm would be better. Because it sounds so bored, or like, yeah, that's a thing. Hey, it's the Matrix! The might descends upon Griefville. Offbeat drums and chanting lyrics. This feels very PS2. I feel like you need to play this forward. Like, this music is actually played backwards. Is it Roblox? It is Roblox! They're bringing Chucky to Roblox.
Hi, I'm Chucky, and I'm your friend to the end. You.
Okay. Griefville survived the nightmare. Ex Chucky. Never mind. Oh, it is Roblox. I wasn't going crazy. Ah. Achievement unlocked. New game reveal. I mean, yeah, I get it, but come on. I appreciate this. I appreciate this. This is a very nice, like, checkpointing system. And it tells you which platforms it's on with the multiple platform feature. Frogwares present. I've heard Frogwares before, but I don't know why. Frog Wars, maybe? Not Frogwares. There is Frogwares. That's a Frogware. Huh? Huh? What? The hell am I watching right now? I guess it's the train inside. It's very Silent Hills. I wonder if it's a game we've seen before. Oh, crap. Very Eldritchy. The Sinking City 2. Oh, it is. It is the Eldritch thing. It is the Cthulhu game. I think it's Cthulhu.
Want to dive deeper into this mystery? Discover more about this long-awaited sequel in our Xbox Wire interview.
This narrator, man. I don't know what choice they did with this. Square Enix!
My warrior of light.
Final Fantasy 14? It is 14. Do you know about the award-winning MMORPG Final Fantasy 14? Dee dee dee. Just whack him in the face, because why not?
We scions will fight until our last breath.
Forward, my friends, for freedom and justice! You do know you're not alone in this, don't you?
He kind of looks like Clive.
And light, despair and hope. As goeth one, so goeth the
How long have I waited for the one they call the Warrior of Light? So, if it must be undone, let it be undone, and become the Warrior of Darkness. Game world. Okay. Reminds me of DayZ, or at least the looks of it is, anyway. A cult classic PC series. Is it DayZ? I'd be surprised if it is. Oh, Stalker, Shadow of Chernobyl. Nope. I don't think I've ever... I've heard of a Stalker, but I don't remember the game specifically. I'm guessing Clear Sky is an expansion or a sequel? Call of Pripyat. Yeah, I guess it's all of the expansions. Legends of the Zone trilogy. I don't know if I should be excited for this. I think anyone who's a fan of the series probably is more excited for it, but not me.
Developer Kunitsu-game brought the cult classic Stalker trilogy to Xbox in an exclusive Xbox Wire interview.
I'm sorry, Xbox. Come on, man. You need to... I don't think that's what you should be doing, because it's harder to read. Maybe the mixing should have been different. I can't let that go, unfortunately. I can't let that go. That a person that low sounded, that the person who may have rendered this together didn't think the mixing would have been... Like, he talks too mumbly. I won't say mumbly, but he's so low toned that it's hard for me to understand what he's saying. It's actually just a good thing that what he's saying is what's on the screen. And because there's no enthusiasm, it's a bit hard to really appreciate what's being said. It's not very easy to hype anything. They should always, like, for these standardized, should generally be speaking. If you're going to have someone with a more low decibel voice, like a very more low octave voice, just let them be loud. Monster Jam Showdown! Oh, that's nice. We're going to see a new driving game. Did you feel it? The moment time looped. Ah! What? Oh my god! It's Marth! Episode Aegis. Space and time is being distorted by the abyss time beneath us. Wait, is this a new character? Are you saying that the same day is repeating itself? Is there a new character introduced in this? Finding the answer to life. Does it mean to attain that answer? King of Frost. I once made the choice to live. This is a new power is a sign that I'm drawing closer to life. New theurgies added. The final chapter arrives September 2024. I'm surprised they've left this in such a late state. Oh, so that's what it's for. So that's wave 3. Release date is subject to a change. Persona 3 Reload, Persona 4 Goya, EX BGM set. Oh, everyone gets Velvet Room sets. Oh, what? Did we get like a... oh, okay. We getting like a drum and bass version of this? It comes to Ultimate, Xbox, and Windows. Is expansion pass sold separately? Base game is required.
Uncover what else the Dark Hour has in store for Game Pass members this year on Xbox One.
This voice. I'm wanting to appreciate it, but I can't. This line read is not a good choice. Sinking City seems like a good one. Was cool. Monster Jam Showdown was a bit of a meh showcase of that. I think it could have done a little bit more, but it's nice that we're seeing a new racing game that's not Forza. Sorry. Studio IF? DNF! Oh, is this the MMORPG? It seems really like over the top for what would be considered an MMORPG type style character. It looks cool. It's like anime Demon Souls? Oh no, I would say there's more equivalents to what's it called? Stranger Paradise. Maybe God Eater? That's Berserker, right? Yeah, it's definitely a Demon Souls style game. The problem is that not many people know about the DNF series outside of DNF Duel. The first Berserker, Kazan. I think that's a cool setup. It's a cool, like using Berserker as the main one. Critical Role. Critical Role published this.
Takes you on a journey through a land enriched with myth and legend, but torn apart by illness and tragedy. Grief is ever present here, from the arid deadlands, the harsh and unforgiving terrain, to the dense and dangerous forest floor of the woodlands, a place laden with mystery and fear. In your arsenal, you carry your late father's masks, the Mask of the Moon, utilized best for crowd control, and the Mask of the Sun, chaotic ballet that compels you to engage spirits in melee combat. The Mask of the Moon, the Mask of the Sun. You must embrace the dance of the shaman. Each ability gained by the player can be used both traversally as well as in the fray of combat. For example,
This looks really cool.
spear. Not only can it be used to activate elements that are out of reach, but also engage and pierce through multiple enemies at once. And with each small victory along your journey, you will grow and better yourself.
It feels like a more. It feels like very much like the recent Prince of Persia game.
The way you took that rojo out was amazing!
You should not sneak up on people, young shaman.
We are shamans, healers in a land long past healing.
The complexities of grief inspired the foundations of the world of Kenzera. You will be faced with intricate puzzles, arduous obstacles, and deceptive traps that demand...
That I've not seen since Sonic 3.
And though the path is fraught with adversity, an even fiercer battle rages within you. Mercy is a rare flower that blooms in the lands of Kenzera. But you can do this.
I like this. It's like, bro, it's gonna be hard, but I believe in you. So go on, get it done in it. It's like the trailer told me it believed in me, so I believe in it too. 11-bit Studios. This is the second one from 11-bit. It's people. Technocrats. Their future. Is it a Warhammer looking game? Iceberg begins protesting. (2024) July 25. Frostpunk 2. Oh, okay. It's the same as the as it was the same developers as the guy who made as the All by Myself, the Alters game. Oh, this is the Capcom game, right? Okay, this is different from what we've seen in previous ones. It looked like it was a lot further out camera-wise. This looks like more claustrophobic. That's different. I love the Capcom title thing. Capcom presents. That's like their version of the Marvel logo. Purge defilements. Rescue villagers and give them roles. It's like a life sim? No, not a life sim. What am I thinking of? Nighttime. I like the strike. I like the animation style. So you position and fight alongside the villagers. So it's like a management thing where you have to manage between what's it called? Escort missions. It's an entire game based on escort missions and village management, sim management. So I don't know if people are going to enjoy that. A lot of people do not particularly like what's it called? Escort management style games. But then again, if the story is intriguing enough, then it'll be okay. It's the same thing as like what we want it to be is more like not Shadow of the Colossus, the other one, and The Last Guardian, something similar to that. The character design is really vibrant. Kunitsu-game, Path of the Goddess, coming 2024. It looks really nice. God damn it, I've got a cold.
Kunitsu-game, Path of the Goddess mixes action and real-time strategy in an exclusive Xbox Wire piece.
I think that's everything. I don't know how. Like, some of this is good. I liked the new announcements. Kunitsu-game was nice to see a new showcase for. The Persona 3 Reload extension DLC season pass is interesting. Hopefully it's not too expensive. But generally speaking, I'm kind of on the boat of saying, well, it had some really cool ideas. It had some really cool trailers. Let's give it that. Hang on, let me go back to the ones. Let me go back to the list. It should be this bit here. Okay, so Unknown 9 Awakening looked cool. Sleight of Hand looked cool. The Altars is a really cool concept. Creatures of Ava is different. Singing City 2 getting a sequel is actually really good. After that, it's kind of like goes iffy. Like Tales of Kanzera looks really cool, but it's something we had already known about. Frostpunk 2, it's a bit of a hard one to understand when you've not played the first one, so you don't really know what you're looking for when you're out here. Kunitsu-game Path of the Goddess having a full new like, it feels more like that's the first time they've explained the mechanics of the game. Stalker Original Trilogy, it's just not for me. Monster Jam Showdown, I feel like it's something I would enjoy, but generally speaking, I'd have to be like playing it already. Final Fantasy 14, suffering from success as per. Roblox, and the first Berserker Kazan is actually really cool. So generally speaking, it's actually been a pretty decent showcase because everything is different. The problem is that I don't know if they've done enough to hype this preview, because I should have been hyped for this. There should have been some level of answers to this, and I'm surprised they didn't answer anything to do with the Persona indeed. Hang on, give me a second. I need a tissue because for some stupid reason I've got a cold now, despite the fact that I have actually been drinking water. So I think I've caught my friend's cold. Yeah. I've met Matt Mercer in Seven Rebirth. Oh, okay. So that's where you're at right now. You met Ganondorf? Detective Ganon, yeah? That's what it was? Hang on, let me quickly check something. Okay, so copying's done. Time for finally the data disk. God. Anyway, going back to point though. Nice, by the way. I've met my DM, yes. Yes. What was I saying? So yeah, generally speaking, this is actually a really good partner preview because it showed, generally speaking, things that are different that you wouldn't expect to see from a PlayStation, a State of Play. You know, this is good. This is actually, in a lot of ways, a decent showcase. My downsides are, and it's very easy to be downsided, is because of the hype factor, and I think that might have more to do with the I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think this was the correct line read for the person they probably got to think. They were just probably following instructions, so I don't blame the actor themselves. I blame the director or whoever's choice it was to make it understated. The other thing that they haven't spoken about in this partner preview is the games that are coming to other platforms, which I think they should have done that. Because I don't know how they would have talked about this otherwise. So that means in the partner preview, they weren't going to talk about the 4 games. They were going to, and they were going to wait till the Nintendo Direct. That's fine, and they were going to put out the blog, and that's fine. But generally speaking, I feel like this should have been the point you could have talked about that these things were coming to the other platforms in a more like way, in a more in a more concise way. Because I'm still trying to figure out how they would have talked about this without that podcast to have come out. And everyone's saying that that podcast was not planned, and understandably, if it's not, that it was a thing and so on and so forth. But outside of the direct, I still don't feel like, because it sounds more like we needed that podcast just outright, because that feels like it explains what the hell was going on with those 4 games to begin with. So now, like before, I was like, well, that was pointless, and now I'm thinking is, if that podcast did not exist, I would not have cared as much. I would not have like understood the situation with these 4 games. And yeah, I still don't know where else they would have talked about the other 4 games. They would have just done it as general releases. Oh, and suddenly, like, I would have put that in a direct or in a showcase or something to hype something up, because it would have made for good conversations. Otherwise, it would have been a shadow drop. It would have just been a shadow answer. Oh, you know, Hi-Fi Rush, that game that came out last year that everybody was talking about, and it was shadow dropped. Oh, it's coming to PlayStation now. Cool. We're just gonna leave that there and not talk about it in some level of a showcase. It does feel a bit wishy-washy now, with hindsight being there, knowing that information is just on hand. I would have thought this would have been the point to talk about those games in some level or some form. Like, maybe this would have been the point I would have talked about it first. But like, yeah, let's just talk about these games. But then again, they probably would have had to have paid somebody to the rights to use the Nintendo and PlayStation logos and so on and so forth. But couldn't you do it? Like, they have the money. It's not like they whether Xbox is doing well or not, depending on who you ask. But generally speaking, they have the money to do it. It's not impossible. So I'm just a little bit confused, because I'm wondering when that information would have come out. I like if that whole debacle with it being the leak, and that whole debacle with that conversation being not had, because I remember when talking to other people about it, it was like, what could they have done? And it's like, okay, fine, now we're past that point. We're past the point of when they did talk about it. But when is Xbox themselves going to talk about it outside of the blog post? Like, not everyone reads the blog posts. More people watch these because it's easier to digest. Not everyone's going to go looking for that blog. And whether they should or shouldn't isn't the matter. It's the explanation in a understandable format, which is what the podcast provided. So imagine that podcast didn't exist and you had all that information and you're kind of like, so you're not going to talk about it? It's just a bit far-fetched, to say the least. And I'm not sure how I would have. I said this to a friend about this showcase, that if this showcase is not good, if it doesn't sort of begin to bring hype, then it feels like it's more of a backstep for Xbox. I actually think it's the opposite now. I actually think this showcase was good. I think the partner preview has showed stuff that we haven't seen before. I think this is a good thing. But it does now question me on how they are presenting certain pieces of their information, and I really would like a more I would have liked that the podcast being presented in something like this. This would have been it, or the developers showcase that they did back in January, announcing like, hey, there's gonna be 4 games coming from our platforms going to another one. I hope you can be excited for it, because we're gonna be we hope you're welcoming. Like, they put out an action plan for it, you know, a mission statement. Sorry, I think that's what we probably need. If I'm an Xbox fan and I want to be sort of quelled, I want to have an understanding of why I'm standing here as an Xbox fan. So I think a mission statement would do really well for something like Xbox to reassert what they're doing for their fans. And now that we've got all the information, now that we have everything, we're looking at everything as a whole, I think I still stand by my statement that I don't know if that podcast would, like, in the sense of, it's still a little confusing. What I said earlier was that podcast necessary before I said no. Now I think it's even more necessary to have had that, because if I didn't have it, I wouldn't have context now. And as a whole, it just feels more like right now we're kind of all over the place. We've got the developer showcase that we did back in like late January. The podcast was reactionary. Yeah, that's the problem. If that reaction wasn't there, I wouldn't be asking about the 4 games now. But then if that was shadow dropped as was, I'd probably want more information about the shadow drop about those games going onto other platforms in a partner preview like this. This would be the point I would ask that question. This would be the point where I'd answer that question. Whereas right now, that podcast seems very... You had the Xbox community believing the brand was going for a party. They had to have some way to communicate. Yeah, basically said the same thing. And I'm like... I'm now still questioning... Like, imagine that reaction wasn't existing. Imagine that reaction did not exist. Where would you sell this story? That's where my point with that is. Imagine that wasn't there. Because you got to remember, the way I'm looking at it is, if everything wasn't like, let's be fair, they've been talking about third party stuff for a long while, and let's be fair, we as fans in some ways have been asking for it in some form, right? But it didn't go as bad as it was. So let's say that podcast never existed. Where would you tell that story? They would have told that story at the Nintendo thing. It was like, oh, it's hype, great, this is what it is. And then 2 more games got talked about, which is coming to PlayStation, which was 2 separate trailers, and it's meant to be hyped. And then they put out the blog post, and I'm like, okay, but I feel like that information is still only half the information, because the podcast explains more of what was happening with that particular blog post. I think that podcast would still be necessary now. I think the podcast shouldn't have been a reaction to begin with. It should have been part of the plan. With hindsight, obviously, but I feel like if we didn't have that podcast, I feel like I would still be missing information. And with this partner preview, I'm still feeling like I'm missing information, because now I'm still asking the same questions. So my point is, I think they would still have to do that podcast. I think they still have to do some sort of proper video explaining, hey, look, we've got our first party games going to other platforms, and this is the reason why it works the way it does. I think we need it. I think we still need it. I think we need that now, because it gives us a better idea of what Xbox is doing. Because right now, this partner, like I said, this partner showcase is actually really good. It may still be going to other platforms, but it's actually showing that there's a variety of stuff that is on the platform, and it's clear. But I think all the partner preview should have been what those 4 games were meant to represent. It's talking about your partners, and you are partnering up with 2 new platforms, and this would have been a great showcase of that. So yeah, that's where my head's at with it. It's like, I understand it's reactionary now, in hindsight, and hindsight's always 2020. And the first time we were talking about this, I was thinking about how couldn't they have said this earlier? And now it's more like, couldn't they, if they didn't say it earlier, and this was the initial plan, and this is how they provided all of it, then Xbox, I feel like, needs to come back to this and say, remember, these games are coming out to these other platforms, and this is the reason, and that for those games coming in, to invite them in, to let them in, be a part of us. Let us, say, I'm an Xbox guy, but I'm glad you're coming in from the PlayStation side. Or I'm an Xbox guy, but I'm glad you're coming in from the Nintendo side. These things are huge, vital communication strategies, in my opinion. I feel like they missed the trick on it. That's what it feels like. And maybe I'm crazy for thinking that way, but I want to have the confidence to just say, dude, I think the podcast was necessary, even if it wasn't reactionary. I think it's necessary to clarify this information. I think you need to come back to this and rejig this, because right now everyone's distracted by the goddamn controversy. That's it. Like, everyone's kind of distracted by the whole thing. So, yeah. I don't want to go around in circles, but yeah, that's kind of where my head's at with it all. I don't understand in what logic this would have been fine to a certain degree. Hang on, let me quickly check something. No, it's this one. Okay, it's about halfway through. It doesn't seem like I'm gonna be able to do it today, by the rate this is going. What do you guys want to talk about? What do you guys want to talk about? Right now, I am all over the shop because it doesn't seem like, I mean, I can wait. I don't mind waiting. I've got a day off tomorrow. But we've also got the tournaments too tomorrow. By the way, if you've not got your name in the Discord, if you're joining in for the Tekken 8 tournament, please do.